Hello and welcome. You're watching Tech24. I'm Julia Seeger. From mobile money to cargo drones and rugged portable Wi-Fi hotspots, Africa's tech entrepreneurs are creating new technology to tackle consumer needs and development challenges. In this edition, we'll speak to Jake Kendall, the director of the FinTech incubator that has just added 4 more companies to its portfolio. And for Test24, we'll turn the set into a small football field to see 2 autonomous robots play each other. They were made by a research team in southwest France, and they've become a hit after winning the World Cup for Droids that was held this year in Japan. But first, the Galaxy Note 7 was one of the biggest disasters in consumer electronics history. A series of battery fires triggered a recall and eventually the decision to discontinue the phone altogether. Well, now Samsung is trying to move past this incident with its successor, the Galaxy Note 8. Anka Ula has this report.
For the presentation of its new Galaxy Note 8, Samsung pulled out all the stops. Giant three-dimensional screens immersed the audience in the company's newest smartphone. But before the show kicked off, the public was presented with an apology from the chief of Samsung Mobile.
None of us will ever forget what happened last year. I know I won't. But I will never forget how millions of dedicated Note loyalists stayed with us.
He's referring, of course, to the disastrous debut of the Galaxy Note 7. The phone's defective batteries literally exploded, burning several users. Samsung had to recall every last phone, hundreds of millions of them. The company lost at least $3 billion, not to mention its credibility with consumers. 1 year later, the South Korean conglomerate is turning the page. But this time, there's no room for error.
So it looks like they have fixed some of their issues, but the biggest issue that we need to see if they fix is the battery. So we're going to have to wait a few months and see if there's going to be any explosions in the new phones. But we don't expect that. The battery is much smaller than the previous version.
Moving forward, competition will be fierce. Apple is set to unveil its rival iPhone 8 on September 12th, and the 2 smartphones could both go on sale that very same month.
And moving on, banking is necessary, banks are not. This provocative quote by Bill Gates dating back to 1994 is becoming more and more relevant. This as fintech continues to disrupt the banking sector. The fintech industry is booming in the US, Europe, and Asia, but also in Africa. Ideas there are flowing, but startups often lack seed money and mentorship. And that's where early-stage incubator Digital Financial Services Labs comes in. They've just invested more than 200,000 euros in several African fintech startups. Well, joining us now from Seattle is DFS Labs director Jake Kendall. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Tell us more about the new companies you're adding to your portfolio.
Well, we have an exciting group of companies from all over the world, everywhere from Ghana to Kenya, Pakistan, India, even a couple of companies in the US and the UK who are serving clients in Africa and South Asia. So really a global set of innovators and companies. They are building products and solving problems for consumers all the way from how do I get a loan, how do I buy a car or some other kind of asset that helps me improve my livelihood, all the way to insurance, and even on the other side, building infrastructure that banks and mobile operators can use to serve their clients better.
Now, financial inclusion is at stake here. How are the startups you're incubating helping to solve this problem?
Well, financial inclusion is simple but hard. So it's simple in the sense that it's really just about bringing the kinds of products that you and I use every day to people that have never had them before. And so in order to do that, we have to focus on being hyper efficient, creating, low price, smoothing out the user experience so that it's very simple and very easy to use, and then allowing them to be delivered in the kind of environment where low-income populations live, which generally means they have to be delivered over mobile phones, sometimes not even smartphones. And so to do all of that, you really have to be creative and apply often very advanced technologies so that you can achieve the level of efficiency that allows you to serve people who are doing small transactions, saving small amounts, borrowing small amounts, and doing that in the kind of environment in Africa and South Asia that they live in.
Now, as an innovation lab, you're also building a real fintech community where entrepreneurs from the US, India, or Africa can really help each other out. Are you trying to bring open innovation to fintech?
Well, we're definitely trying to create a community. Whenever one of our entrepreneurs faces a challenge, we try to find someone who can connect with them and can say, look, I've been there, I've seen that problem before. And there isn't a ton of people in the world who've done that, who've built a digital product in the developing world. And so in order to help our entrepreneurs, we've had to create really a global network of entrepreneurs in other countries, as well as experts and mentors who can bring to bear that kind of knowledge. And I think that one of the things that differentiates us is we've been able to create a network of people, and we can bring to the table, a banker in Mumbai who's launching a digital bank, with an entrepreneur in Kenya who's doing something similar, with an engineer from Silicon Valley who may have something else to contribute to the puzzle.
Now, reverse innovation, this idea that innovation can spring from the developing world to the industrialized world, has become very popular, especially in fintech.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of that. We're seeing Silicon Valley companies who launch in Silicon Valley, but only to serve clients in Africa and South Asia. And we're also seeing really creative solutions and innovations in our markets that are likely to go the other direction. So, for example, there's a lot being done right now using alternative sources of data on mobile phones that can be used to create financial products, and in particular credit. And we wouldn't be surprised to see something like that launch in the US or in Europe in the coming years.
Well, thank
We're
you,
also
sir.
seeing a lot of really interesting innovation in the infrastructure area. So India, for example, and a number of other countries have set up really advanced identity systems, digital identity systems that integrate into the financial services sector pretty seamlessly and allow people to, and financial institutions to identify each other online in a way that can't be done yet in a lot of advanced countries.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
That was Jake Kendall, the director of DFS Labs. And before we move on to Test 24, we're going to make a quick stop with our in-house expert, Dan and Jay Cadalcar, to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Voyager.
That's right, the Voyager mission has been hailed as one of the greatest scientific achievements, and for a reason, because first of all, the way it was launched, the two spacecrafts were launched in a gap of 15 days from each other. Voyager 1 was launched on 5th September and Voyager 2 was launched 15 days before that. Now, there was a clever bit of engineering done to make this mission possible. So there's a phenomenon that occurs after every 176 years in which all the planets, they are aligned. So the engineers made use of this alignment and they launched the spacecrafts so that they could get gravity assists more efficiently and they could travel much faster. That's what happened. So in a decade, they were at the edge of the solar system. Now, what these two spacecrafts have done, they have changed our perception of our solar system. Before Voyager, we never knew that there were active volcanoes elsewhere in the solar system, but that's what Voyager found on Io, which is one of Jupiter's moons. Voyager also found that the other moon of Jupiter, Europa, it contains, or rather it is covered with ice crust, and underneath there could be a possibility of liquid water ocean, which was later confirmed. So it really changed the perception of our solar systems, besides also giving us great photographs and data about Jupiter, particularly the Great Red Spot, and Saturn. So yes, these are some of the significant discoveries of these missions.
Thank you so much, Dan. Moving on now to Test 24. Organizers of the RoboCup 2017, that's the world's football cup for droids, say they hope one day robots will be able to defeat real players on the field. But for that, Dan, scientists still have a lot of work to do. Here on the set of Test 24, we're going to have a remake of that match between Aria and Tom. Tell us more about it.
That's right. These two are among the 4 robots that won the World Cup in the category humanoid kid size. They belong to the team Rhoban, and they have been developed by a team of engineers from Labrie, University of Bordeaux, and the IPB Engineering School. Now, as you can see here, they are autonomous robots. They can walk on their own. And here is Aria scoring a goal for us. Almost. Okay.
Wow,
that's
it's
a
on
goal.
the line probably.
Absolutely. So each robot now, it's 65 centimeters tall. They weigh 6 kilograms each. And each robot is equipped with a camera in its head that gives it the perception of vision. So it's able to measure the distance, for example, here from the goal post to itself. It is also equipped with 20 electrical motors. 6 of them are placed on each leg. So these electrical motors allow them degrees of freedom. So you can see they can bend in the knees, they can twist in their hips. So this is the degree of freedom that's allowed by these motors.
Now, why is it so challenging for scientists to make them walk?
Well, walking may seem like a very simple process for us, but if you analyze it properly, walking is a continuous way of falling. You know, the moment you take a step, you're actually falling, then you take the next step, and that's how you move forward. It's very difficult to replicate this this motion in robots because there are so many things available. For example, your leg has to be flexible. There has to be perfect balance, you know, on both the feet, and that is very difficult to achieve in robots.
Maybe we can give them back the ball, Dan.
Yeah, sure. So this is done in this case with the 4 sensors that are present at the bottom. As you can see, those blue studs at the bottom. Right. So underneath them are 4 sensors that help robot balance themselves on any unequal surfaces. For example, this is not a smooth surface. It's an uneven surface. Oh, another goal.
There you go.
That was a different kind of a goal. So as you can see, there's a different degree of freedom here. Now, the most important part about these robots is the means of localizing themselves. And that is what made the difference for this team, because once you are able to localize, the robot is able to localize itself. It can pass the ball to other robot, which then determines the localization of the robot that is passing the ball. Then it runs towards the ball and scores the goal. So that is one of the most difficult things to achieve, and that's what this team achieved. And just for the record, this team scored 41 goals during the competition and only 2 goals against it, and even those 2 goals were self goals.
Very well. Well, thank you so much, Dan. Well, that's it from us here at Tech 24, but do stay with us here on France 24.
Oops.